everybody. Get your attention for a few minutes. Thank you for joining us this morning on a historic day here for the great city of Presidents. And I think it's apropos we're in this hall, the Great Hall that goes back to 1844, where you think about it, you'd love to know if these walls could talk, the conversations, the decisions that were made, some very difficult ones during the course of the city, even as a town before we became a city. So I'm not suggesting today's announcement would make the top 10 and that those years of history, but it's an important announcement, I think, to share with the residents of the city. Before I talk a little bit about that, I'd like to acknowledge some of the colleagues in government who meet here at least a couple times a month, and I appreciate the great cooperation we have with the members of the City Council, most of them. You can laugh, now, come on. We have our Council President here, Noel DeBona. We have our Ward 1 Councilor, Dave McCarthy, our new Ward 4 Councilor, Jim Devine, and our Ward 5 Councilor, Chuck Phelan. And I know each of them in their own right have been very, very supportive of public safety in our city, so I'm grateful that they're here with us today. So I've been in government quite a few years now. Some might say too many years. But I've certainly been part of a lot of decision making over the years. I've seen major changes in many ways. I was chief of staff under Jim Sheets in 1990, and that's when the first financial crisis sort of hit. And I recall the cuts to the fire department. I think we laid off 17 or 18 guys at that time. It was very traumatic, I know, certainly for those families, but certainly for the decision makers. I know when I ran for mayor in 07, was elected in 08, we ran into a major financial crisis worldwide. We had to make some tough decisions. And, you know, you don't run for mayor, you don't get into this business to make cuts to lay people off. But unfortunately, there's times when tough decisions have to be made because unlike the federal government, we can't print the money, we have to balance our budgets. So having said that, after our first couple of terms, and through the obviously advocacy of the union, of the various leaders over the years, certainly Chief Jackson, Chief Barron, and others over the years, we finally got Rescue 1 back in full service. I think that might have been 2016. Each year we've incrementally added manpower to the department. You know, again, because of budget, you can't do everything overnight, and we've been incrementally doing it. And that goes for the police department as well. Even during the crazy summer of 2020 and all the wackiness going on around the country, I thought we stayed to our foundation. We stayed to what the values are in this city, and we weren't distracted by what was happening, some of the craziness across the country. So I'm thrilled today to talk a little bit about what we're doing, and I know a number of people here, active firemen, retired firemen. I certainly saw some of you out front with the 2 new pieces we have in service while we wait for a new ladder truck. Who'd have thought a number of years ago it would take 30 months to get a ladder truck by the time you order it, the delivery. We need some work to do on the supply chain issues in our country, but that's not for me to worry about. In the meantime, I know Chief Jackson was able to secure for very short money the 2 pieces out front, working with his team to help the city meet our needs. And along those lines, with the new group that are now in the academy, we're going to be bringing a 4th ladder truck in service on a full-time basis. I'm going to let the chief talk a little bit about more details of the distribution of the apparatus and why that matters. But I will say this, that at the end of the day, it's all about safety. It's about the safety of you, and it's about the safety of the people we serve. Response time is so important in the fire service, as you know. Every second counts, it matters. The amount of bodies on a truck matters. So it's about your safety, and again, it's about responding to the people in need in the city, in every corner of our city. Somebody pointed out to me the other day that, you know, we're the 7th largest city in Massachusetts. We're the 12th largest city in New England. That's pretty remarkable when you think about that. Not in an ego sense, but in a sense when you put it in perspective. And I think that we should be acting like a city our size. And I'm pleased that we're at this point now, we're able to add that piece. Now for homeowners and people who pay house insurance, this matters as well. because this will have an effect on the ISO rating, and that's a positive thing for people paying insurance. So it's great in that respect as well. So I'm excited about this. I'm grateful to all of you and the service you provide to our residents of the city. And I'd like to bring up a good chief, our leader of our department, who's doing a great job, Chief Joe Jackson. Chief, I know your father will be proud of this day as well.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for coming out in such numbers. It's worth coming out for, right? Amazing to get this back. 33 years, and I know that we're here primarily to discuss bringing Ladder 4 back after 33 years, which is incredible, and the boss just alluded to it. I just wanted to give him props, and he touched on it himself. He is the mayor that brought back Rescue 1 to full-time service back in September of 2016. So yeah, thank you so much, boss. Thank you for everything that you've done for us. We couldn't have a better champion in you, and that's the truth. So anyway, so the move, just to let everybody know, we're looking to put Ladder 4 in service down Houghs Neck, obviously. The other part of this would be taking Rescue 1, putting it up at Wollaston. Ladder 2 then would come out of Wollaston, and it would go over to run out of West Quincy. So what does this do for the citizens of Quincy? Well, first off, we turn 3 multi-piece stations. Now we have 5 multi-piece stations, right, which is huge. That's significant in its own right. And so we go from 3 multi-piece to 5. And with the addition of Ladder 4, I just want to touch on this before I forget about it. With Ladder 4 going in down the neck, keep in mind now, the residents down Houghs Neck, Germantown, Adams Shore, they're going to see incredible response times. They're going to have an engine and a ladder pulling up. Within 5-6 minutes, they're going to have 7 or 8 of our members showing up to go to work should they need our services. So this is just unbelievable. It's incredible. So what does this come down to? It basically boils down to staffing and response times, everything that we're talking about right here. So let me just touch for a minute on NFPA 1710. I'm looking at you, Ernie. Are you sick of hearing about NFPA 1710? We've been talking about this for a long, long time, trying to come into compliance with this standard, and it's a strict standard. It's tough to come into compliance with, but what we're doing right here moves us a couple of steps closer to this. So NFPA 1710 staffing mandates 4 members on a piece of fire apparatus. So that would be on an engine, on a ladder, on the rescue. They mandate 4. As you know, culture here in Quincy has been, excuse me, to run with 3 members. We usually run with an officer and 2 firefighters. We're not breaking any laws or doing anything wrong by that, but it's not the national standard. So the mayor has been good enough to ensure that we will always have 4 members on Ladder 4. And before I forget, we are just coming off a grant, a 3-year grant from the federal government. What this gave us was 4 additional members, day and night in all 4 groups. It was for 16 members. It just ended in February, and the boss was good enough to let us keep that additional manpower. So we have Engine 1, Rescue 1, Ladder 2, Engine 2, and Ladder 4 will all be run with 4 members all the time. So complying once again with staffing for NFPA 1710. So so that brings us to response times for NFPA 1710. So one of the big benchmarks is for the initial full alarm assignment. So a full alarm assignment, a lot of you know in the city of Quincy here, we have 3 engines, 2 ladders, the rescue, and car 2 response. So one of these benchmarks is the whole first full alarm assignment arriving at the property inside of 8 minutes. 8 minutes or less, 90% of the time. That's a tough benchmark to hit, and you know what? Shifting the apparatus around like we're talking about doing, having ladder trucks on the flanks of the city, the rescue running right out of the hub, that's a benchmark that we're going to make. We're going to be able to do that, so huge. I mean, really, really huge. So the boss alluded to this. I just want to touch on it, our ISO rating. The last time we were rated, I worked with the Insurance Services Office in 2018, and we were rated a Class 2. With everything that this mayor has allowed us to do, with the increased staffing on duty, with the 4th ladder truck, Rescue 1 running out of Wollaston and being able to complement that 1710 standard, the changes that we've made in training and fire prevention, with the support of the mayor and his office and the city council. I don't see how we could get reevaluated by the Insurance Services Office and not get a Class 1 rating. I have their report card from last time, and we've closed all the loopholes, and as the boss alluded to, that benefits everybody in the city. So, what else? I think that's it. I'm done. I'm out of notes. So, thank you very much. Thank you for everything, and thank you so much again to the mayor, and thank you for Rich MacKinnon, president of the PFFM, for coming out, and former Chief Barron, former union president Tank Lynch. So, thank you again. Very, very special day. Thank you so much, boss.
We still have some work to do, and the chief and I have discussions, and we're still looking at a new main firehouse, and we're looking at some improvements to the West Quincy Firehouse, which will accommodate the ladder truck. So I'm sure these councils sitting here will be very supportive of that effort. Again, thank you. And over the years, in addition to working obviously with the chief and the staff, various chiefs and the staffs of the department, but certainly the unions have also had a seat at the table on every decision along the way. I remember working with Ernie over the years, Hank over the years. It wasn't always pretty, but it was always respectful, and I'm always grateful for that, for the relationships that we built for that. I'd like to have our very quiet, low-key 792 president come up. I think he's burnt out my texting a number of times in a good way. He's always advocating for you guys, and we have with us today some very distinguished guests that Tom's also going to mention. So thank you for the partnership to Local 792 and Tom Boas, our president.
Good morning on this very awesome day. I'd like to start off by thanking Mayor Koch, Congressman Lynch, the Quincy City Council, Chief Joe Jackson, the IAFF under the leadership of Ed Kelly and Jay Colbert, the PFFM under the leadership of Rich MacKinnon, Billy Cabral, and James Brown for all they have done over the years to get us to this point. I'd also like to recognize my fellow union officers, MacKinnon, Paul Moody, Mike Marshall, guys I've worked with for a long time, my executive board in 792. These guys have put a lot of time in to make the job what it is today. So the retired guys, who are a lot of you are out here today, which is awesome. You guys set the path, and you taught us the ways, and thank you very much for all you did for us. Today's announcement is historic for this department and the city. Adding a ladder company is huge, something not seen too often around the state or the country. This ladder will immediately help the residents of Houghs Neck, Germantown, Adams Shore, and Marymount areas of the city with ladder coverage. As many of us on the job know, when you're working down the neck of Germantown and you get a job, it can feel like an eternity where you're waiting for help to come. Additionally, this new ladder company will serve the city as a whole, responding to multiple alarms across the city of Quincy. And with this ladder company comes 4 additional firefighters to our daily count, which is huge. Sadly, less than a year after Ladder 4 was taken out of service in 1990, there was a tragic fire that resulted in 2 children dying, something all of us still take to heart. At that time, there was a question as if Ladder 4 would have made a difference because of the tough access issues to the house that was on fire. There was a quote from then Deputy Iannello to the news at the time. He said, "We couldn't have used the ladder, but we could have used the men. All the equipment in the world is no good without the manpower." No truer words have ever been spoken in the fire service. As we have always said, manpower matters. With this class of recruits we have graduating next month, some of which will man Ladder 4 starting July 1st, we will have a number of firemen in the city of Quincy that we have not seen since 1985. This is due to the gradual investment of over 60 firefighter positions by Mayor Koch during his tenure as mayor, including one of the biggest classes of recruits in department history in 2000. Mayor Koch has made major investments in this department during his tenure as mayor, and we can't thank him enough. As soon as he righted the city's financial ship after taking office and steering the city through the recession, he brought back into service all the crucial frontline pieces of apparatus we had lost due to the previous administration's cuts. We had an aging fleet of tied apparatus that he has completely overhauled, as next spring we will take delivery of another new ladder and engine company. He made investments in upgrading our breathing equipment, which allows us more time in building to search for victims. He has invested in thermal imaging equipment to assist with those searches. He's provided us with state-of-the-art technology in our rigs, including mapping systems and hydrant location grids, all a push of a button away, helping save time, which in turn saves lives. We're about to undertake major renovations and rebuilds of some of the aging fire stations around the city to provide better living quarters for the men who have to work in them 365, 24/7. He has provided us with a training facility where we can continue to train for every worst case scenario and at the same time train our recruits here in the city instead of waiting to have to send them out to recruit in a different academy. Most importantly, he has led the charge with us in helping fight occupational cancer, the #1 killer of firefighters. Every member in the department has 2 sets of bunker gear. We have state-of-the-art gear extractors and dryers at every fire station and are working towards every station having a decon room where members can come back from a fire and immediately get a hot shower and get rid of the contaminants they absorbed in a timely fashion, all before returning to living quarters. He truly understands the importance of this and our members fighting occupational cancer go through. Mayor Koch has undoubtedly saved lives with the investments he's made into our health and safety. A few years back, I happened to walk into a meeting in the mayor's office with a member who was just diagnosed with cancer. He had a young family and obviously was worried about his future and his family's future. I walked into the mayor's office to have this discussion and the member was already there, praying the rosary with the mayor. Later found out the mayor cleared a schedule once in a while to drive this member to the Dana and sit and pray with him and talk to him while he was doing his treatments. That shows how much he cares, he understands and he respects what we do and the sacrifice we make for the citizens of this great city. To the handful of brothers out there fighting cancer that we have here in Quincy, you got a mayor that's got your back. For almost 16 years, Mayor Koch has been a phone call away, and we always get a seat at the table to discuss any problem or issue we face. If there is a serious incident, we get a call, what do you need? Is everyone okay? We're fortunate to have a leader in the city that truly cares about the citizens' safety and the safety of the men and women who go out there and protect it every day. Mayor, you kept the promise you made to us 16 years ago, and you've built us into a bigger and better fire department, one of the best in the country. Can't thank you and the leadership of Chief Joe Jackson enough for working with us to try to leave this department better than we found it. I'm sure both of your fathers are looking down smiling. This announcement of bringing back a ladder company that has been out of service for over 33 years is going to be looked at upon as one of the greatest moments in the history of this department. The citizens of this great city and our members are that much safer due to your vision and leadership and the investments you have made during your tenure. We can't thank you enough. Thank you, Mayor. As I mentioned, we're fortunate enough to have a great parent union, the PFFM, led by Rich MacKinnon. He's here today and he's going to come up and say a few words. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you. My name is Rich MacKinnon, President of the Professional Firefighters of Massachusetts, and I get the honor of representing the over 12,000 members of the PFFM across Massachusetts. And this Quincy local, has been a vital part of that since its inception. They're always at every event, every meeting, and it's a very strong local in the PFFM and in the international. So it's an honor for me to be here representing everyone. I teased the mayor before we came in and said typically when they call us out, the PFFM or the international, it's for a protest. And we come with signs saying you're not doing your job, you're not taking care of public safety. And that's typically, unfortunately, the attitude and what we face across the state. So to come here today for this great event is truly an honor. And Quincy and Mayor Koch is a great example of how it should be between labor and management. Let what happens here in Quincy and how they take care of public safety and their firefighters be a template across Massachusetts. Here in Quincy, we have settled contracts, better working conditions, good health care, and now increased staffing. I challenge other mayors and management to follow Mayor Koch's lead and truly learn from what has happened here in Quincy. And the residents of Quincy will be safer and also across Massachusetts. This ladder has been out of service since 1990, and as of July 1st, the local will have 242 members, firefighters, most since 1985. The mayor has put on 60 additional positions since taking over. President Biden spoke at our legislative conference down in DC last March, and he had a very important quote. The only way to make firefighters more safe is more firefighters. And that's what he's done, and Quincy has benefited from that, from SAFER grants from the federal government. We just heard that that grant will expire after 3 years, and the mayor and the city council and the city will keep those positions in place. So it is a great day here in Quincy, and I challenge leadership across Massachusetts to follow the lead of Quincy and take care and maintain public safety by adding and maintaining safe and additional staffing. So thank you, Mayor Koch, for supporting Quincy Fire Local 792 and making public safety a priority in your administration. Thank you.
Tom mentioned it, we do have a champion in our Congressman, Stephen Lynch, who has been terrific supporting us to try to get those grants. And I see Chris Murphy. I know there's a number of department members who are part of writing those grants, working hard to help the department. Everybody working together. That's what makes things happen. So thank you to all those who have been involved in that. Thank you to Congressman Lynch for his continued work. And I did want to acknowledge Lieutenant Bill Phelan, who in my landscape days, I'd go up to Engine 4 and have lunch with those guys. It was very traumatic, some of the stuff I witnessed, but we won't get into that. It was nice to see the old timers back here with us today, and usually see you each time at the retirement dinner. So with that, great day here in Quincy, great day for our fire service, in turn, a great day for the residents. Thanks for joining us here today. I don't know if any members of the press have any questions. I'd be happy to defer them to the chief.
Is there an estimate for how much this will cost having those new ladder in service?
How much is the estimate of the cost? Oh, we don't worry about that, Scott. I can get that to you. I don't have it off the top of my head, but Chief, do you want to deal with that? Estimate of cost, July 1. It's essentially a captain for lieutenants, I believe.
Yeah, the difference in our budget would be about $85,000 for the promotions. So to make the 3 lieutenants, the captain, it's going to add about $85,000 to our budget.
Great.
So
Thank you,
so
everybody.
much.